Welcome to the Explainer. All right, let's talk about a big one, the NISM-Series-XV Research Analyst exam. We're going to put together a kind of strategic primer, really digging into the core concepts you absolutely have to nail to pass.
So, you're gearing up for this exam, and you've probably heard the rumors that it's tough, that the questions are tricky, and honestly, they are. They're designed to test not just what you know, but how you think under pressure. Well, you've come to the right place.
Okay, first things first, let's understand the battlefield. You've got 100 marks on the table, and you need a 60 to pass. It's almost all multiple choice questions with a couple of case studies mixed in. But here's the kicker, the part you cannot ignore. That 25% negative marking, this changes everything. It means every single wrong answer actively works against you. Guessing is a huge risk.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with how to approach the exam itself. Then we'll dive into the absolute fundamentals of the market, look at the tools an analyst uses, see why the big economic picture matters, and finish up with the most important philosophy of all, the difference between price and value.
Right, let's jump in. We just looked at the structure. Knowing that is step one. Now let's talk about building a strategy to actually beat it.
Look, with that negative marking, your whole mindset has to shift. It's not just about picking the right answer anymore. It's about being so confident in your knowledge that you can spot the wrong answers, the traps, from a mile away. A really deep conceptual understanding isn't just nice to have. It's your primary defense against losing precious marks.
And to build that deep understanding, you have to speak the language fluently. This next part is all about the market's DNA, the absolute non-negotiables. These are the terms you just can't afford to be fuzzy on.
Let's start with the big one, equity. It's simple, really. Think of it as a slice of ownership. You buy a share, you own a tiny piece of that company. This is the bedrock of what analysts spend most of their time looking at.
Now, if equity is owning, a debenture is loaning. It's basically an IOU from a company. It's a debt that's backed up only by the company's promise to pay you back. Knowing the fundamental difference between owning and loaning is a classic exam topic, so get this one locked in.
So where do these things even come from? Well, they're born in the primary market. This is where a company goes to raise money for the very first time, like with an IPO, selling brand new securities directly to investors. And once a security is born, where does it live? Right here, in the secondary market. This is the stock exchange you see on the news, the place where all those existing shares are traded back and forth between investors every day. It's what gives the whole system liquidity.
Okay, so we get what securities are and where they come from. The next big question is, how on earth do you figure out what they're worth? This is where an analyst pulls out their toolkit, and there are two main approaches.
Think of these as two different schools of thought. Fundamental analysis is like being a detective. It asks, what is this business really worth? You dig into financials, management, the industry, the whole shebang. Technical analysis, on the other hand, is like being a market psychologist. It asks, when is the right time to buy or sell? It ignores the business itself and just looks at price charts and trading volume. You need to know both.
But here's the thing, you can do the best company analysis in the world, but it's all for nothing if you ignore what's happening outside its four walls. No company is an island. A great analyst has to be a pretty good economist too. These are the vital signs of the economy that every analyst is watching. We're talking about things like GDP, inflation, and especially interest rates. You can think of these as the major currents in the ocean. They can either be a powerful tailwind pushing a company forward, or a brutal headwind holding it back, no matter how well it's run.
And that brings us to the grand finale, the real heart of the matter. All of this work, all this analysis, it all boils down to figuring out this one crucial thing, the difference between a company's price and its actual value. You've probably heard this quote from Warren Buffett, and for good reason. It is the absolute core of investment philosophy. The stock market gives you a price every single second, but value is something deeper. It's what a business is actually fundamentally worth. Getting this difference is everything.
That underlying worth has a name, intrinsic value. This is the holy grail for a fundamental analyst. It's the number you're always trying to calculate, based on a deep dive into the business. It's your compass, your true north, and it has nothing to do with the daily whims of the stock price. And right here, this is the whole game. You can boil down an analyst's entire job to this single mission: find the biggest gap between what the market is charging for a stock, its price, and what your analysis says it's truly worth, its intrinsic value. That gap, that's where opportunity is born.
So, this leads to one final critical idea. How do you protect yourself from being wrong? Because you will be wrong sometimes. The answer is the margin of safety. It's a simple but powerful idea. You only buy something when you can get it for way, way less than what you think it's worth. That discount, that's your cushion. It's your protection against bad luck or a mistake in your analysis.
So as you get ready for this exam, I want you to think about that. A margin of safety isn't just for investing. It's a perfect strategy for test taking. It's the extra studying you do, the concepts you truly master, not just memorize. It's the buffer you build to protect yourself from tricky questions and those painful negative marks. So let me ask you, what's your margin of safety going to be?